Hey, friends, welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Today, I have one of my one-on-one coaching clients with me. This is Darla. Thank you, Darla, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Samantha.
All right, I'm so excited. So today we're going to touch on a few different things. One, we're going to go back and let Darla explain to you all and talk to you all kind of about what she's learned. She's only been at this now for less than a year. It's like 9 months ish. And she is killing it in Northern Virginia. The name of her business is Uncluttered Haven. And she actually reached out to me and decided to start her business with a team right from the jump. So you definitely want to hear all the goods. Okay, so Darla, tell me a little bit first about what made you decide that you wanted to even start an organizing business.
Okay, so probably like most of the listeners and guests on your page and yourself, I've always loved organizing. So it's something I've done for family and friends on the side. And at the time, I was helping a neighbor. I had been a teacher in my previous life, and I have a counseling degree. So I, do love people, and I love to help people. But I was working with a neighbor at the time, kind of helping her with a lot of organizational things. And I had a friend at the time who, this was last January, actually. She's a realtor. And she came to me and said, I have this friend and she needs an organizer. And I know you really like that. Would you be willing to help her? And I said, sure. And when I went to her house, it was kind of a whole house type project. And I remember talking to you about this. And it was definitely a learning experience on so many levels. So it took me, she only wanted me to be her organizer. She didn't want me to bring in anyone else at the time. But it took me about a month to get through the various rooms that she had. And then at that moment, I was doing some tutoring in a school and I was trying to juggle both of them. And I realized that when I was doing the organizing, I really just felt like lit up. I was happy at home. I was a happy mom. I was excited. I felt like my bucket was really being filled more so than being in the school. So I just started to tune into that a little bit more. And I was like, why am I not doing more of what I love? And that is when I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go for this. I quit my job and, I gave him the 2 weeks notice. It was a part-time job. And I had that flexibility with my husband's job to be able to take that chance. And I know not everybody does. So in the beginning, you might have to juggle, your full-time job with part-time organizing, but it's totally possible. So I ended up quitting my job, and then I started to just kind of think in my head, who do I know? Who can I reach out to that's really influential, that has a lot of Facebook friends, has a lot of followers, who's active on social media, who's really networked and in the community, and I came across a friend that I had known from the gym, and I had reached out to her and I just said, I'm starting an organizing business and I would love to do a space in your home for free. And she said, oh my gosh, I, just was saying to my husband that I needed an organizer. He was going to get me one for Christmas, and it was perfect timing. So that's kind of how this all began. At this time, it was still kind of off the books. I didn't have a name yet. I didn't make my business official. And I started doing her house, and I did pretty much the whole house. But when I went into it, I knew that this was a situation coming from the house that I had just left, where there was no way that I could do this on my own. It was just exhausting to do it on my own. It was, lonely at times, and, it just wasn't as fun. So I just said, let me give this a try. This is all trial and error. And I told her, I said, I have some girls that could help me. And those girls at the time happened to be friends of mine who were also stay-at-home moms. And I just said, I know you have no idea what you're doing, but come with me. We can do this. We organize our homes all the time. I'll show you. We're going to fake it until we make it. And we did. And we did so many rooms in her house, I think with the exception of like her basement and her garage. And it was, a 6,000 square foot home. And it was just an amazing experience. And that just me taking a step to reach out to her and to think of who I knew, that changed everything for my business on many levels.
Yeah, no, 100%. I remember back I remember the first time you called me and you reached out to me and you said, listen, I have no idea who you are. I'm starting my business. I literally asked Google or Siri or,
Yep.
whatever, um, find me a coach that'll help me start an organizing business essentially. And
Yep.
it led you to my podcast. You hired me. We started coaching and I haven't ran a team. So when you came to me and said, all right, I want to start this business, but I want to start it from the get-go with a team. I was like, ooh, okay, I'm about to be stretched myself. Like, we'll figure this out as we go.
Yeah.
And what I loved about it, though, is that we had, plus on top of that, Virginia has a lot of rules, kind of like California does, where they're very specific about certain things when it
Yes.
comes to business owning. So we had to, some of the stuff we had to figure out together, but we did. But you straight dove in. You were like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this. How many girls was it 3 or 4 that you started with?
Yeah, I had, well, gosh, I think it was 3, and then I slowly added on because their schedules were so unique. But I knew that I needed somebody every day, and not everyone could make it at that time. But now I have, gosh, I think I have like up to 8 girls, and now I'm working on developing leads so that I can book multiple projects in the same day. But I remember when I did find you, I was just cleaning out and organizing my husband's closet, and I wanted to start building up pictures, for my website. And at the time I had only that one house under my belt. And I just said, okay, Google, play podcasts about organization or organization coach. And then you came on and I was like, oh my gosh, who is this lady? She's really dropping some like amazing stuff right here. And I listened to it for like hours and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to find her. So I did. And then that's how we connected. And, it just like I could tell from the beginning that you were just like down to earth. And I remember telling you, I need somebody to hold my hand and literally tell me step by step, this is what we're going to do in an organized way. And, give me assignments to do and just walk me through it, hold my hand. And that's what you were able to do for me. Thank God. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of how I am. I mean, even with my members, like I tell them all the time, if you're stuck on something, like send me a quick message and let me help you get unstuck, because there's no point in sitting there in the stuckness when you have a community or you have a coach or you have people around you that can help walk you through those things. So you ended up you had those girls in the beginning, and I remember when we went through kind of like the pay and like all the different stuff, we had to figure out how you were going to pay them. We had to figure out your paperwork of, them signing like non-disclosure agreements. We had to figure out, make sure that they weren't going to go and start their own organizing business. So they had to sign like a non-compete clause. Like there's a lot of different things that come into play when you're starting a team versus if it's just you or you and a partner doing these jobs.
Yes.
What have you found though, that having a team, like, so do you go in and actually do the consultation and then you send your girls in to do the actual sessions, or how is that kind of working out for you now?
Yeah. So I'm kind of doing all of the business type back stuff, which is things that you don't realize when you're starting a business, how much time you're going to have to put in outside of the actual organizing job, putting my kids to bed at 9 or whatever. And then I'm at my computer for a couple hours, just doing all those business type things. But so I always do all of the marketing and all of the, Instagram and everything like that, social media. And I also do the consults. So one thing with the consults, doing them in person is definitely more time consuming. So I have done some virtually. I will say that when you do the consults and you're just taking pictures via text, it doesn't show the whole story. It doesn't give the whole picture of what it looks like. And it's really hard to get a good idea. So I've been shocked a couple times when I've gone into some houses, but I do the consultations and then I ended up, remember for a while we were talking about what format do I use to connect with the girls and schedule them and all of that. So I just made it, I'm not very tech savvy. I don't like to complicate things. So I basically just have a Google Calendar called Uncluttered Haven. And I added the girls to it. And what they do is they just go in every month and they put the days that they are not free on the calendar, so that when I'm doing a consultation with somebody, I can look at, say, February 5th and know how many girls I have to help me. And, I had told them from the beginning, nobody is guaranteed a job, because some jobs are just a one person thing. It might be me one-on-one purging with a client, right? Or it might just be a small space. But I did really try in the beginning, and still now, to get them all exposed to many different areas, which is going back to that one house that I had done a lot of those spaces, most of the house. It was so beneficial for not only me, because I was getting exposed to all these different rooms, but it was good for the girls too. So they had a kitchen under their belt, and they knew how to fold, and they knew how to hang the hangers right, and all of that kind of stuff. So it really was a good experience. So don't be afraid to reach out and, offer a free room. And I think in the end, she refused to even take a free room. And she's like, no, I just want my whole house done. And it was really, really helpful. And then she shouted me out on social media, and just, I got a lot of referrals from her. But yeah, starting with a team does not have to be complicated. We all know that organizing is a skill that can be taught. So you can share your skills with your teammate, and there's something that everybody can do, whether it's sorting clothes and making piles, or, some people are better at other things, some things than others. So
Yeah.
knowing whose strengths are what, and just utilizing it. And it's so much more fun to work with other people, and it really does impact your income in a big way.
Yeah, I'm sure. And then so a couple things. One is I wanted to touch on you finding someone and being willing to offer a free session. A
Mhm.
lot of people get stuck in that moment of, oh my gosh, like I should do work for free or at a discounted rate. And what I'm always telling them is, when you are first getting started,
Mhm.
the the reviews, the experience, like all of those other things that you're getting in place of the financial at the very beginning. Like you don't have, like you said, have to do the whole house for
Mhm.
free, but the photos that you're going to get, like there's so many things that you need when it's your first session or two.
Mhm.
But what you did even better was you went and thought, okay, who do I know that has a social media following that I could offer this to? Not just who's a friend or family, but
Right.
who do I know that has a following that would be willing to also shout me out so
Yeah.
I can grow this thing?
Right. And I think that's really important, and not to be like, I just made the decision that if I was going to do this, I was going to go all in, and I was going to do it. This was going to be my thing. I went from being a stay-at-home mom for 12 years, and, you kind of get stuck in a little bit of a rut. I'm doing the laundry, I'm doing that, and I'm like, this is going to be my thing that I'm going to do. Right. And I'm going to do it right. But I did learn that I do really like to work with other people a lot more than working by myself. And that doesn't mean I have to give up the control. I still have very much say in like the final outcome of what the project looks like. But I'm also constantly bringing them in and being like, I'm struggling with this pantry. How does this flow? Do you think this should go here or this? Or where do we, like, I need their input. And they have really great ideas, and it's just more fun. And yeah, and like I said, financially, you're getting paid more, and it's less work in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then my other thing though is, so when you are decluttering with a client, do you normally keep that more you and the client while the girls are maybe like pulling stuff out or doing something else? Or
Yeah.
how does that not get to a point where it's like, oh, all four of us are in one room while the client's trying to make decisions?
Yeah, so sometimes have the conversation at the consultation, is decluttering something that you need support with? If yes, then we can schedule a one-on-one session where it's you and I, and we're for 4 hours. I just say it's a 4-hour minimum, and we can go beyond. for 4 hours, we're just in a purge session. We're donating, trashing, and in that time we can kind of put things where they belong. I just did a kitchen purge, and we kind of were figuring out together where we wanted things to go. And that is something that I hope in the future that I can send a lead out, because she can easily purge with a client. I don't need to be there. Maybe I'm at another house doing a closet or whatever it might be. So I haven't, in terms of having more than one person, I usually don't bring more than another person with me, just because it can be overwhelming, the whole process in general. So we just did a really big kitchen purge, and it was myself and another organizer and the homeowner. And that was plenty, even though it was a really big kitchen. She was doing the junk drawers and I was going through the pans with her and the pots and whatever. So it can be 1 to 2, I would say, depending. And I think you need to know your clients too. If they're expressing to you that they're already overwhelmed, that might be overwhelming to have 4 people standing there shouting at you. Do you want this?
Yeah.
But it's definitely helpful. So the purging sessions usually come before, and then we schedule again for the actual organization session where they don't need to be present.
Perfect. And then how have you found it works best for you? Because I know at one time we were talking through like the buying the bins and the baskets and all the products and stuff. What have you found for you specifically works best with you having a team? Like, do you go and get a lot of extra stuff and then return it? Do you go ahead and measure and try to figure out the puzzle first and then go get the items, or what kind of works for you all?
Well, I wish we were in my kitchen right now, because you could see how many products I have to return. So that is one of the most time consuming things that I have found, is the shopping. I'm trying to be more detailed with the measuring. The problem is it's really hard to know until you get through that purge process what you need, right? So I can estimate, okay, yeah, I might need a drawer divider for these narrow drawers or these deep drawers, but you really don't know container wise what you're going to need. So what I have found, especially for kitchens, is really helpful, is I kind of have a list and I go through it with them over the consultation. Do you want your spices in jars? Do you want the fancy labels? Do you want, where do you want your spices? Do you want them in the drawers? So like really asking them those questions. Do you like your pots and pans in a drawer? Do you like them underneath? Some of them will just say, I don't care, do whatever you want. And here is my budget. I do ask them, like, what is your budget? And then others will say, yes, I definitely want jarred spices. They have to be all matching in a drawer. I want clear only. So I think asking really specific questions is really important, that cuts out kind of the return process. But I do want to streamline that a little bit more, because right now I'm going to Walmart, Target, Amazon, Container Store. I have my favorites at each. And I did make a list on each website, which you can do really easily. Just add your favorites. And that's kind of easy to go back through. But I think I'm looking into becoming an organizer through the Container Store, which I didn't know that they had, in-home organizers through their store. And so using a lot more of the Container Store products, because yes, they might be more expensive, but what I have found with Home Goods and TJ Maxx and Marshalls, I can't always find all the containers that I need, right? And some of them have.
Or you find the one that you're like, oh my gosh, I love this one, and it's the only one,
and it's
you're
the
like,
only one, right? So that
Yeah.
is a challenge. So definitely in the future, I do want to streamline the shopping and the buying. And I've talked about maybe just keeping some of my favorite products on hand. Like I do have my favorite, drawer dividers on Amazon or whatever it might be that takes some time to get here, just keeping them on hand. But that is definitely one piece that is more time consuming than I thought. And for me, I love to shop, and I love to shop at night. So I get stuck in the stores, and I'm just browsing around and it's quiet time and I'm like, oh, I got to hurry up. But I would also say those hours need to be accounted for, and you need to be compensated for your time, because it is time that you're shopping for the client and you should be compensated for that. So that's something that I, in the beginning, was just charging really, I think it was, oh gosh, $40 an hour for shopping. And now I increased it to 75 an hour, which is my new hourly rate. And the reason why I did that is because it doesn't, that hour that you're shopping doesn't account for the returns. And so it's, I'm lugging them all in my car, I'm unloading them. There's a lot that goes into it, the research behind it. So I do think 75 an hour is justifiable. And yeah, so I think that's important too, to not let those things just slide under the rug, because your time is important.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think that's where a lot of us get stuck too, is we feel like, oh, well, if I'm not actually in the home organizing, then I shouldn't really be charging as much as I am for organizing. And I can see your point. And that's also where, when I teach sessions instead of hours, I always think, okay, what is the whole everything that's going into my session, which includes, so I have now actually changed since the last time you and I talked.
Yeah.
I have increased my prices. I demand a deposit to get on my calendar. And on top of that, I actually do one price for quote unquote decluttering sessions.
Okay.
But then I do $100 more for a 3-hour organizing session, but that includes shopping for the bins and baskets.
Okay. Yeah.
So I've kind of broken it up that way to
Right.
where it compensates me for an extra $100 for the time it takes. Cause and that's going to even itself out. For some people, it may take 10 minutes, a few Amazon links, done.
Yeah.
For other people, it may actually be a little more than an hour or two, but
Right.
at least I'm getting that extra $100 and I don't have to feel like I'm like nickel and diming forever. Cause that part, I found that people would rather just know kind of the price.
Yeah, that's
and
a
move
good
on.
idea. Yeah, I like that idea. And I think moving it, in the new year, just reevaluating what I'm going to do differently. I almost don't want to, I'm going to be revamping my website a little bit and making some changes. I'm going to, I think, decide on the price when I get to the house. Like there's going to be a range, but I have to say, some jobs where you can't see the floor and you don't know what's under the pile of clothes, it's much different than purging just like a little girl's messy closet, and the effort that goes into it. So I'm kind of toying with the idea that I'm going to have a range, but I'm going to say at the consultation I will determine what the actual hourly fee will be, because I have been thrown off a lot where some jobs are just really, really grueling and physically exhausting, and it's not the same as filing papers or whatever it might be. So there's a lot that you learn as you go, which is part of the process. But back to
and for you it is different because you have a team, and so being able to give a better quote, where like for me or some of us, if we're just a one person show and we know, okay, we're going to do a 3-hour session or a 4-hour session, we know what's in like we know exactly what we're doing, that's what we're doing.
Right.
But for you have to go see it and look at it and decide, okay, am I bringing just me, am I bringing 4 other people? Like, so there's a lot more that goes into what you are giving a quote for versus when it's just one person, for sure.
And honestly, a lot of people are like, well, what is the quote? They almost expect a quote for the whole project. And I always just say, I can give an estimate, but I cannot tell you until everything comes out, how many hours this is going to be. And then I still won't know. And I do tell them, like, I want to do things right. I'm very detail oriented. I'm very, I want it to be right and I want it to be maintainable. So it's not just going to be me tidying your already existing clutter, it's frustrating to come in behind an organizer that has been in a home, because the client expects something. Oh, well, she just, was here and tidied my stuff. And I'm like, well, that's not me doing my job. Part of organizing is purging and getting rid of things and giving you the tools to become organized. So
A
there's a
hundred
lot.
percent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot that you'll learn as you go, and you have to make those changes.
Well, and
But
I always put it back on the client too. So the way that I tell them whenever they ask me for a specific quote is I say, listen, I can take this one step at a time with you. So, like, if we need to do just the kitchen first, and
mhm,
then, you can pay me for that, and then we can move on to the next room if
yeah,
but this depends on how quickly you can make decisions, how
mhm,
much stuff you want to keep. I can move as fast as you can make decisions, but exactly what you said, purging is a process, and I
mhm,
want to teach you as we go. And, exactly what you said. To me, it feels like they want us to, like you said, say an exact number, an exact amount of
mhm.
hours, and when I put it back on them, not in a bad way, but just in
Yeah,
a way of, listen, every client is different, and I'm going to make sure to meet you right where you are, but there's no way for me to tell. And I
right.
tell them, on average, I can normally do one room per session, unless it's a kitchen or a garage or an
Mhm.
attic. I give them like an idea, but then it still goes back on them of exactly how many sessions it's going to
Right.
take.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I have even found, I know we had talked in the beginning about the 4-hour minimum, but I have found that my sessions are kind of around 6 hours. And that is not with like the client being involved. Purging is probably around 4. And it depends. Some people want to go longer. So I just stopped saying, I just say it's hourly. In the beginning, I was quoting 4-hour session with one organizer is this price. 4-hour session
Mhm.
with two organizers is this price. Now I just say it's a flat $75 an hour per organizer, 4-hour minimum. So,
Yeah.
and then we kind of schedule the time together. Um, but
Well,
it's,
I like that for what you do, because like you said, and what you're doing is a whole lot more. Like, let's say it's the job, right? Like if the job was, a kitchen organization. For
mhm,
you, you're coming in and essentially getting it done in like a day.
yes,
For me, I'm coming in and that may take me 3 or 4 days
right,
because it's different sessions.
right.
And so that's where doing it by yourself versus doing it with a team, like it's just different
It is
when
different.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's something that I started to struggle with. And I was like, oh my gosh, I really need help. I need a lead. I need somebody that can be on a job while I'm at another job, because most people are really wanting multiple rooms. I don't know if it's this area, but I feel like by the time they get to me, they are just completely done with the clutter. And they're like, you know what? After that closet, there's the bedroom, and then there's the storage room, and they want it all done. And so, and you don't want to slow down the momentum. And I hate saying no. And I want to be able to get them keep going. I want to keep that pace. Um, so that's been challenging, but I think having help is really important. And so I have like 2 new girls starting, and I'm going to bring them on as many jobs as I can, because they really want to, they can work the summers. They don't have restrictions with school times and getting home to kids. So I think that's going to be really helpful too. The
Yeah.
busier
No,
you get, that you almost need to knock out a kitchen in a day. You're going in, you're showing up on day one with all your containers, right? And then sometimes when we're on the job, if we don't have what we need, I send a girl to Target or to the Container Store. Go, this is what I need. Go pick it up. Um,
yeah.
but it's just, and especially, some jobs like a kitchen, it's hard to leave them hanging with their kitchen not finished. It's a little bit different when it's a garage or a closet or a playroom. So that's been beneficial too. So don't be afraid to bring somebody to help you. They don't have to be professionals, and there's something they can help you with, I promise.
Oh yeah. Yeah, back when me and my husband were doing it together, like you said, even if it was him running to do an errand or running
Yes.
the trash off, or
Mhm.
going and getting, like, just having almost like a runner
Yes.
is can make such a difference of how much you can get done
Yes.
in that time span.
Yes. I mean, there
Um,
is a job for everyone. Peeling stickers off, doing the labeling is very time consuming,
looking
vacuuming
at
out
dates.
yes, all of it. So
Yes.
there are many hands needed for these spaces. Yeah.
No, I love it. And, it's two totally different things running an organizing business as one person. It's different
Mhm.
running it as two, and it's different running a team. But I love that the fact that you knew you wanted a team. You
Mhm.
are in a higher end area where
Mhm.
you knew that like that work would be there. And so, have you found at any point that there has been a lag in work, or has the work been super? Because I know over the summer, so just to give everyone kind of the time frame, you started in January, you were kind of doing it by yourself, that story, the story you were telling about earlier. Then
Mhm.
we started coaching. That was around like I think maybe March, April-ish,
Mhm.
somewhere in
Yep.
there. And then that was right as school was like right as you were
Getting
getting all
out.
your paperwork and all
Yep.
that, and they hit summer. So
Yep.
I know you kind of took a break for the not a break for the summer, but your kids were, you were getting
Mhm.
things ready. So you really hit the ground running like as school started back in September for you all. And so at this point now it's been about 5, 6 months since you've like really been full force, like all your girls constantly working, all that. How has the like getting new clients? Because people always struggle in the beginning
Mhm.
with keeping and getting new clients. And so I'm
Yeah.
just curious with you having a
Yeah.
team, how that's been.
Yeah, so you're right. I've made my business official in April, and that was probably around the time that was when we were coaching together. And then I was wrapping up that second home that I was doing, and she was like, "We're going to take a break for the summer. It's a little bit crazy." And I had no idea what to expect over the summer. The summer was complete crickets. At that time, I still didn't have my business cards. I didn't have a logo yet. I didn't have my website up. And I just said, okay, I don't know if this is how it's going to be. And I questioned, was I making a mistake? Oh my goodness, what have I done? And I just remember in the summer, I started reaching out to people in my neighborhood and friends. And I was like, what do you have? I'm coming over. I'm doing your water bottle drawer. I'm doing your coffee mug drawer, whatever. And I spent the summer finished getting my website finished, getting my business cards, getting shirts made. Like I was going to do it. And I was making a lot of videos too. So you have to realize that when you're giving people your name, we're in such a social media tech world that they are going to your Instagram, they're going to your website, they're going to your Facebook. You are out there. So that is like your resume, and they want to see, are we a good match? Like they're already, it's, like online dating. I met my husband on Match.com. So you're looking, does their aesthetic match what I'm looking for? They are already scoping you out before they even decide to call you. So that's what I did. I spent the summer doing those things and really building up videos and pictures, and it really paid off. Like I was just planting the seeds in the summer, and they totally bloomed really my kids went back to school end of August, and I have been like consistently busy since September, probably like almost every day. And I did get on Thumbtack. I don't know why in this Virginia, Maryland, DC area, Thumbtack is pretty good. I know they made some changes, but I've gotten a lot of leads from Thumbtack. And then being active on social media, I do keep my Instagram pretty active, and I try to put out there what we're doing, and give some little nuggets, people like before and afters, and just be positive and just show them what I'm doing, even though I cringe because I don't like being on video, and I don't think anybody really does. But that's again going back to, if you're going to do it, you got to just be willing to put yourself out there. So I get a lot of leads from social media. I've joined networking groups, that are local to my area. And one thing I have to say is, be sure to, I'm on Google, so I do have Google reviews, but be sure to get those reviews in a manner after your client is so excited, follow up with, can I get, would you mind leaving me a Google review? Here are a couple before and after pictures you can use, because you really want to get to them while they're still in that, oh my gosh, I love my new pantry. And
Yep.
because then they get busy and they forget, and they think, oh, she won't mind if I don't leave her a review. So those are really important too. And then always just, hey, if you are on Instagram, would you mind if I tagged you? Or would you mind in Northern Virginia, it's really big where we have all these, different neighborhoods. And I don't know how it is in other states, but we all have our neighborhood pages. If you're in this HOA, you're on this website, or this is your group. And can you shout me out in this group? And so that's where I've gotten a lot of my leads from, and a lot of word of mouth and repeat clients, like I had said, them wanting more than one room done. So
Yeah.
it's really important to be active. And if you don't have Instagram, you might need to get an Instagram. This is the world we're living in. And there's tons of videos out there to teach you. You don't have to be an influencer. You don't have to be this superstar with 50, thousand followers. I think I have like under 600 right now. But I have had a lot of people say, yeah, I went to your Instagram, I saw that, or I liked that, or whatever it might be. And I have people, friending me or being followers that I don't even know who they are, but it's a friend of a friend. So just put yourself out there and start taking pictures. I don't like stock photos because it's not your work. So if you see a stock photo and you're thinking, wow, this is really catching my eye, then go out and find the tools and learn the skill to make that pantry or that closet your own, right? So, know where to get the materials for that, know what went into that, and then go and offer somebody a free closet and do it. And then you can say, this is my closet that I did.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I love all of those things. And
Yeah.
honestly, what I want to point out, the biggest thing, just for a lot of the people that listen that are just getting started,
Mhm.
you said yourself, it took from January essentially until September
Mhm.
before it really started picking up. But you were being very intentional during those times of how you were spending your time, the seeds that you were planting. You were
Mhm.
making sure that you were on Google, your website was done, you had videos, photos, started your social media. It is a lot to do in the beginning when it is crickets, and it is discouraging. Like, we
Yeah.
all think, oh my gosh, this is not going to work. Or what
Right.
have I, exactly what you said, what have I done?
What have I
Like,
done?
yeah.
Yeah.
And, but it's part of the process,
Yes.
and all of those seeds will bloom.
Yes.
And once they do, you may even get so busy that it's hard to go back and get some of those things done. That
Right.
in the beginning, you have the time to get them done.
Right.
As an entrepreneur, you're either trading time or money, like
Right.
time or money, like, and at first it is a lot of time that you have to put into your business
Yes.
before the business gets to the point where then maybe you can start outsourcing some things because you financially can. But
Right.
at first it is very time consuming,
Yes.
but it pays off. I think a lot of people are afraid, if I put all this time into this, what if it doesn't work?
Mhm. Yeah.
But I mean, hello, you don't plant a flower and it not bloom.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
if you plant it, it's going to
Yes.
bloom. Now, I can't guarantee it's going to bloom within 2 months. It may be closer to a year,
Mhm.
but it will bloom if you keep with it and keep consistent. And
Right.
so I love that,
Mhm.
like you said, you were like, all right, well, let me just take this summer and get everything done that I know I need to get done. And then I'm going to hit the ground running. And it's been nonstop since,
Yeah.
because you did that.
Yes. Yes. And I do think, just, yeah, like you said, putting that time in, and I could have just as easily been like, oh, I guess it didn't work. I'm just not going to do this. This is not all it's cracked up to be, but it really can work. And you have to really know your ideal client, and really think about who you want to work with, who you don't want to work with, if you want to work with a certain type of client, well, who do you need to network with that is going to get you connected with those clients? What kind of groups do you need to be in? What kind of pictures do you need to be showing? Because the high-end client might not want to just reuse their baskets, right? And I think that there's a place for that too. And I don't only take high-end clients, I meet them where they are. And I really try to show that in my social media. This client wanted, yeah, she lives in a 9,000 square foot house, but she wanted wire hangers from her dry cleaner. And it might have driven me, crazy, because I wanted to fix all the hangers, but you have to listen to what your client wants, right? And everybody has different needs and different levels of organization. And I think it's really important to show that. And it's up to us that if we don't have that skill. We're calling ourselves the professional. We have to learn it. We have to figure it out. What is the best thing for pots and pans? And what is how do I do this spice store that I've never done? You have to do it in your own house, right?
Well, and kind of like what you said, and that's what I love is, like when you've got your team around you, you can be like, hey, what about this? Or give me some, like you can bounce ideas, which
Yes.
is exactly why I have the membership and I keep it affordable because I knew I used to do everything on my own. And I was always like, man, if I could just have someone to bounce some
Yeah.
ideas off of, I need support and a team around me of people that speak my language that are
Right.
doing the same thing in their areas.
Yes.
Because I can try to talk to my friend all day long about it, but if she's not an organizer, she's gonna be like, I don't know.
Right. And there
And
are so many things that you need to know in the beginning that I wouldn't have known. I didn't even think at the time when I was paying my organizers under the table. I didn't even think that I needed a contract. I didn't think of a non-compete, or what is their rate going to be? Is this competitive? Am I paying for travel? Do I need insurance? There were so many things that I would have just blindly have probably just ignored if I didn't have your coaching. And it was
yeah.
at a stressful time when I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. I knew, like, going into our sessions that you were going to like keep me on task, keep me on task, which can be hard, and, really hold me accountable to what I was supposed to be doing. And I have to say, you were wonderful at you, because many times I had to text you or call you, and you're just responsive and helpful and available. And that's huge. It was a big deal in the beginning.
Yeah. And actually that we can kind of wind up with that because I wanted to
Mhm.
make sure to ask you, where do you feel like you would be now if you had not gotten coaching in the beginning
Yeah.
versus, because I think people wonder, like, is it really worth having a coach or is it really worth joining the group coaching community or like, are those things worth it? Do you feel like you'd be as far along now, or do you feel like you would have like stumbled and like, because figuring it out on your own is hard. And what I have personally learned, because I even have my own coaches, is
Mhm.
when someone's ahead of you, it's like you're exchanging money essentially for the amount of time it would have taken you to
Yes.
learn that thing the hard way.
Yes. Yes, for sure. I mean, I think if I would have tried to figure this out on my own, I would have just gone to Google. And like you said, Virginia has some really interesting laws. I didn't know what they were, and we're from different states, and you were able to find out those things. And, we were talking a lot about the tax thing and just getting the answers for me that I just was not aware of, even the pricing. How do I even go about pricing for a client? I don't even know. Coming up with the name. I remember giving you a couple names and you're like, nope, don't use that. You're like, that's in everyone's name. Or, just the buzzwords to use in your Google, business site or
And
whatever. It
yeah,
just
and
everything.
SEO.
So
Yeah.
many good nuggets that I just think I would have had to backtrack and try to figure out, where did I go wrong, or I'm missing this piece. Um, so I think it's really important. And I had hired a bookkeeper because I know my strengths. I'm not really good at numbers. I don't like, my husband does the taxes and the bills. And I hired a bookkeeper, and she's very affordable. And she said to me, what is this worth? What is this hourly for you? How much is this a month? And I'm like, well, it's 2 hours. That's how much she charges per month. And she's like, well, is it worth it? And I said, yes, because if I create this disaster in my QuickBooks, who's going to undo it for me and fix it? So it's kind of the same thing with the coaching. It's an investment, but it will come back to you and give you that return that you're looking for. You want to start your business off on the right foot and start off strong, and talk to somebody who has that experience. You had helped me with the contracts, the non-compete, the pricing. Oh my gosh, everything. I mean, the license, what else did we do? Everything that you can think of.
Yeah. Like, I
There-
mean, from A to Z, I remember like you would call me and I'd be like, okay, all right, Darla, just deep breath. Okay, like now let's bring it back to, okay, now what are we actually like looking
Yes.
for here?
Oh my gosh, because I just dove all in. I'm like, I have this client, we're doing all these rooms, I have these helpers, and what am I going to do? And I have this shirt being made, and then you're like, okay.
But now you are killing it. It's been
Yeah.
less than a year,
Yeah.
literally less than a year
Yeah.
you've been at this, and you are killing it.
Thank
Like,
you.
and I'm so, so, so proud of you. And
Thank
like,
you.
I can't even, like, I mean, I can't even begin to, portray from the just, just the few conversations we had when you were kind of stressing. Like, I knew you were a go-getter. I knew if anyone could do this, you could. But
Yeah.
I was like from the first conversation when you're like, I'm starting an organizing business. I'm gonna have a team, and this is how I'm doing it. And I was like, okay, well, I guess here we go.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's just, you were somebody that I could look up to. I'm like, wow, she's already doing this. She already has her website, and she already went through all these steps, and she knows, like, you were the expert. So it was, like I said, I asked you to hold my hand, and you did. I was really specific about that. Like, I really need you to be like holding my hand and telling me what to do. And it just made such a difference. So if you're starting out and you need help, I mean, it's amazing. Your support's amazing. You're kind and you're patient and you're knowledgeable. And it's just a really good investment for your business. And it's a tax write-off.
Right, right. I tell
Right.
people all the time, I'm like, you can also write it off as a tax write-off. Like, you
Yes.
can't lose.
Yes, you
Yes,
cannot lose. And there are
100%.
those expenses in the beginning, the website and your cards and things like that. But it doesn't have to be, more so than the website. Just focus on your pictures. Get those pictures done, show what you can do, show what your skills are and what makes you different. Think of that client, and then you want to be able to show them what you're able to bring to the table because you
Yeah,
are the professional.
100%.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And as you go through it and as you surround yourself with community, like because I do the coaching in the group coaching community, but I also, anyone that joins the group coaching community, I give them a one-on-one unstuck coaching session because I know everyone that comes in is going to be stuck somewhere.
Yes.
And it gives me a chance to get to know them one-on-one. So they do feel comfortable reaching out to me because, like you said, I want to be there to help you every single step of the way, wherever you
Yes.
need the
Yeah.
help. Like, that is the point of this. So,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you.
Thank
Congratulations on all of your
you.
success. And if any of you guys want to go follow her, tell them your website and all the goods to where
Okay,
they can go
so
see you.
it's unclutteredhaven.com, and then at unclutteredhaven on Instagram, and it's unclutteredhaven on Facebook.
Did you all hear that? It's Uncluttered Haven everywhere, as it should be. That is perfect.
Yes,
Because that was
yes,
one of the things that we coached on, was like, hey, let's find a name that's available on Instagram, Facebook. And even if you're not being active in the very beginning,
yes.
it matters
It
if
does
your
matter.
name is the same in all of the places that
Yeah.
it needs to be the same.
Yes, it really does. And one other little thing I wanted to say that I just had a light bulb moment. I just realized a lot of people talk about networking with real estate agents, which is great. But I found that my new little avenue, which a light bulb kind of went off, was cleaners, cleaning ladies, because all these homes that I'm going into, my clients are saying, oh, the cleaners just clear all the clutter and throw it into the corner. Well, the cleaners are the ones that really see every week or every 2 weeks or monthly, whatever it might be, all the clutter. So I actually ended up giving my cleaning lady a stack of cards, and I offered her a bonus for every client that she sent my way. I would give her $50, and she was really excited about that. So I really want to network with the cleaners too, because not only is it an incentive for them, but it will make their cleaning job easier. So they are in the homes in the thick of it.
And not only that, but they are also then the ones, like, it's people they already know. So the trust factor's there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's a warm lead
Yeah.
instead of it being a cold
Right.
lead.
Just,
Yeah.
some random handing them an organizer's card, and then they're offended. And
Right.
just really quick, I missed this fact, but I do offer my organizers incentives for putting Uncluttered Haven out there. So if they're on a Facebook page and someone says, I need an organizer, if one of them plugs Uncluttered Haven and I get a job from that, then they get paid for that. And I guarantee that they're able to work that job. So giving them that incentive too,
Mm.
almost, I gave them each a stack of cards and gave them a little plastic container. I think if it's one day job, they get $50. If it's 2 days, 75. And if it's more than 2 days, it's $100. And then they are guaranteed to work that job until the end. And that's really a big incentive for them too. So it's like you have people, out there putting your name out there and sharing what they're doing, because they have
It's a marketing machine that you're creating,
yeah,
but you're also making sure it's worth it for them and
it's
their
worth it for
time.
them. Yeah, it's worth it for them. And I think, yeah, it's not just them just, marketing Uncluttered Haven, but they like to get that money. They like to get that bonus money and they're like, oh, I get to work this whole kitchen and it's my
Yeah.
friend's kitchen or whatever it might be. And it gives them a reason to post and to be a little more active on social media and tag you in things. So that's been really helpful too.
Yeah, both of those are genius. I
Yeah.
love it. Like I mean, honestly, like I cannot wait to see where this goes, which it's already blown up and it's not even been a year. So like
Thank you.
I can't wait. We'll have
Thank
to
you.
definitely check back in soon
Thank
and
you. Well, I
see
need
how
my
it's
own
come.
organizer now that I'm working so much.
Listen, don't we all go do it for everyone else and then we come home and I'm like, I'd really like to watch some
Yes,
Netflix now. Thank you.
yes. But you've been amazing. You'll always be a part of my journey. And always, I always feel like it was meant to be. Like, I just landed across you on Google and that was amazing. And it's been so helpful. Thank you.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And thank you. And for you listening, we will catch you in the next one and go follow Darla. She's got amazing stuff going on.
Thank you.